Hello. I need to fix the poster. Why is it aimed at my ass? Aim at my face. Come on. Get up here. Don't look at my ass. Bad. Did it think my ass was my face? Okay, hello. Welcome to Letting Go with Lil Friends, the show. Hello, welcome to Letting Go with Lil Friends, the show where I read out entries that I collected of things people wrote down that they want to let go of, and then I destroy them, and I turn them into something cool. Something I just started doing. I used to burn them, but for now, I'm going to destroy them with a blender, turn them into something papier-mâché cool thing. To transform it, make it something new, better. Not better. That's toxic positivity. Like positive. Just positive transformation. I'm still gonna burn stuff though, and make videos on that, because it is fun. I just don't want to do that with the main things. This market was fun. This batch is from the Village Pride market in Hamilton. It was my first time doing a queer market, so that was very cool. My queerness is complicated and something I'm still figuring out, but it's cool seeing people that are in their own kind of similar journeys or have like figured themselves out in their journeys. It is a nice space to be in, and I'm excited to be in more spaces like that. I'm gonna get to reading out the entries and then throwing them in the blender and destroying them. Okay, time to go. Here is what we are letting go of. Hatred. We're letting go of hatred. That's a really good one to let go of. Love of money. Negativity. All that bullshit. Letting go of the fear that I won't achieve my dreams. Anxiety. Codependence. That's a good one. Letting go of being on our phone too much. It's hard. It's hard. It's just there. It's like an addiction that there's not only no barrier between, because it's right there, but it's also something that you do need in modern society. To some degree, you need a phone. It's like being an alcoholic that's forced to work at a bar. Holding on to toxic communications. I don't know what they mean by that fully, actually. It's tough when I can't actually, ask for a follow-up question. I feel like a horrible person. That's so hard, that, self-hatred. It's tough, because I don't, first of all, I don't believe in, good or bad people. It's tough when you, do view things from, a definable position. Once you start looking to define people as good or bad, you can categorize people into those categories, but there's so much more nuance to that when you really start looking at the scale of it, of it's not this kind of linear thing of good or bad. How do we hold space for the times when someone is and has done so much good in a transformation process from a place of having done bad things before, which those cases do exist? Do we then go, oh, you are a horrible person now, and you might not be a horrible person? In the future, if you stop being a horrible person, that feels complicated, because then it's who gets to define at what line you cross where you stop being a horrible person anymore? It's just very complicated, and I think the best thing I can feel internally is just, if you are having that feeling of being a horrible person, try to look to what you're defining that based on, and where that definition is coming from. I know I'll always be damaged in your eyes, but I'm healing. I'm working on it. I need to take my time. I promise. I'm doing the work. This was immature. Why? That's fascinating. Oh, this was immature is hurting me, because, it may be immature. What's wrong with that? Because often the deepest healing can come from this very vulnerable, childlike place. And so, if you allow yourself to get caught up in this idea of this weird fictionhood we have created around... Fictionhood isn't a word. This weird fiction we've created around adulthood and what that means in terms of expressing and processing emotion. And I don't think we should be looking to the generations of self-identified adults that think it's mature that they don't cry when they process like some really deep trauma of like war times. Like a lot of those people of those generations kind of view it as like, oh, we're so mature because we're not crying through this or crying after the fact, when that's a little scary to me that they're not crying because that's some of the saddest experiences they went through, and they're not allowing themselves to process that from my perspective. They wrote down love life, which is like positive, it's nice, not something to let go of. Self-doubt. Bad memories of my dad. Remember the good times instead. Anxiety. Bad friend who tries to keep putting me down. It's mean. You don't need to label that person as a friend, like just because they're in your circle or you're hanging out with them. They're not really treating you like a friend. Self-doubt again. Am 74 years, being alone till I die. That's crazy. I hope that changes for you. I know, like, it seemingly hasn't. I'm so glad they shared that. That's really heavy. Like, maybe that's a start, is honestly just like, maybe they can open up with more people about this feeling of loneliness. Thinking all my friends hate me. Self-doubt plus gas. That's very funny. I'm assuming gas, like toots. Addiction. Having codependence of how others feel affecting me. I feel like I've hurt way too many people in my life. I'm not a bad person, but I don't know. Yeah, that's again a really hard one to let go of. You're in a state of transition where you're no longer doing those bad things, or at least not nearly in the way, shape, or form that you're holding yourself to in that. And it's tough where you don't really know how to move on from that when you're constantly having the memories of those experiences. But there can be this healthy kind of detachment of that was a past version of you that doesn't have to represent the current version of you. And the more you can define that through actions, the more you can convince yourself that truth, that you are no longer that person. You are someone new. Toxic people. I fucking hate you. That is intense. All like caps and exclamation marks and a broken heart. Insecurities, drama and gossip, health worries, extra weight. Yeah, health worries are scary, especially like around extra weight, because that's gonna then bring this baggage of self-image issues, I'm sure, and just like really hard dissociative feelings of like your own image. Toxic relationships. Get earrings out, get earnings out. It says earrings or earnings, and I don't know what they mean by that. Needing to fix everything right now. Yeah. Work BS and staying out of its drama. More drama. Depression and anger issues. Love everyone no matter what. That's sweet, and I don't know what they mean particularly by that, but like there's a kind of like a healthy amount of like, it doesn't mean don't hold people accountable for what they did. Like there's some degree, and then like what accountability looks like. I feel like it's like case by case basis, and I have nowhere near a concept of where to begin with that. But yeah, I don't know. Others' opinions, past negative thoughts. Everyone who I left for my own well-being. That's tough. I want to love myself enough to not self-abandon anymore and live a peaceful life. Let go of things and people who hurt me. I deserve better. You do. We all deserve better, and that's where it's such a complicated thing. All of us don't deserve to be hurt or tormented or traumatized by anyone. And that's a complicated thing to let go of. It's very hard. Work, with all exclamation marks. Leadership at work, acting like bullshit dictators. Oh, and then they put it or a person's name. So maybe someone at work that's getting affected by it. There's so many people in these positions of management that are taking advantage of that to almost like act out this weird trauma story of like this power that they maybe needed in their development that they didn't have, or maybe reenacting this dictator that they had in their own lives to give them the sense of like power, or the sense of like, oh, that abuse was worth it that they received because now they get to be the abuser. That could be an interesting way to view it, maybe. I don't know. I hate my mom. I wish she wasn't my mom. Yeah, that's a really hard one, because there's nothing you can do about your family, and there's the just annoying adage of you like should always love your family, especially like you should always love your mom. But what if they're a toxic person that didn't really have you in their best interests? And what if even worse, they like viewed you as like an object in their life? It's very tough. There's nothing we can do about them being our mom in the sense of that, like that's who birthed us, but there doesn't need to be this connection of that is who my motherhood figure is if you don't want it to be. You can hopefully redirect that to people you idolize in that sense, or maybe you can channel and cultivate this sense of motherhood within yourself. Notice which ways you tend to mother others, or mother yourself even, for that matter, if you can. And see if you can grow that even more. Letting go of toxic people who don't respect me. So many people not respecting. And it's complicated. Because respect is a complicated thing, and all of us to some degree aren't respecting each other fully. But we're all on the pathway to healing. Just some of us definitely significantly more than others. Myself. I hope they mean in a egoic sense. And it could mean in a self-hatred-y way. So actually I will kind of just self-hatred. And that's really tough. It can be this just that either feels like a solution, or that feels like the object of problems in your life. But maybe you can unpack more than that and have this kind of healthy disassociation of yourself might not be the problem. Maybe the dimensions around yourself are more of an issue. Maybe the influences shaping yourself are more of an issue. Bad energy at work. Expectations of sex and gender. Just let me be. It's really tough when you particularly have this state of I don't really feel like anything in particular. I feel more like I'm just a human with these specific body parts. You don't, there often for a lot of people isn't more than that. And that's where it's very frustrating, where there will be these demands of what presentation, role, or activities you need to fulfill in your life, depending on what genitalia you have. It's weird, and there are a lot of circles that are addressing the weirdness of it. You should be free. It's hard because there's a natural amount of assumptions, but I don't get how we can't hold more space for allowing natural first impressions to happen and then moving past them once we realize the difference. If you're assuming someone to be, say me in particular, I'm not directly masculine. I'm masculine in a lot of ways, but I'm a lot less of a quote unquote man than what a lot of people that define themselves as man are. And so it's tough. And even in that sense, it's a lot of people who define themselves as men aren't really behaving like men at all. They're behaving like little boys. And it's tough when we have these weird definitions that are so subjective per person, and we're trying to create this wide net label that can be shared between each other in this way that makes sense. But I don't know if any will fully make sense because of that. They're always going to be different, at least slightly per person, to what that truly means or truly looks like. And so why can't we all just let ourselves be human and say what we want to do and who we want to do, and then leave it at that? We don't really need to add these extra definitions or labels to it, I find. Fear, failure, perfectionism. Let me be bad. Oh, I love that one. That one's really good for me. Oh, let me be bad. That's so cute, actually. So true. It's just, you should be free. It's different if you're presenting something as this professional presentation. Then I can understand where there's this striving for perfection. But if you're just testing something out, if you're just going about your day, if you're just playing around, there doesn't need to be this expectation of any specific degree of performance or quality. It can just be what it is. But instead, we really have this projected sense that everything needs to be always you doing your best, and if it doesn't look good, that means you didn't try hard enough. That's not a fucking healthy place to be in, and that's just not gonna really, unless you're this person that really can seemingly ignore your own abusive self and succeed while doing it, which unfortunately a lot of militant-esque minds are able to do. It doesn't end up being this space of growth for a lot of people, and ends up instead being this limiting space of never actually feeling fulfilled or complete. Because you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to hit that standard that these other seemingly godlike people are able to do, when instead those people are just exceptionally good at ignoring their own self-abuse, and their body is able to withstand it. Trauma. Let go of negative emotions towards partner. Maybe they're justified to some degree. Maybe you don't necessarily need to let go of your toxic feelings. More, you need to process where those feelings are stemming from. My trauma doesn't need to define me. I can be who I want. Anxiety. When someone calls me ugly, and then in brackets, a person's name, you suck. My anxiety and hate. Dear a person's name, please stop the hate. Ooh, fascinating. A person's name and his frustrations. They're either talking about like the frustrations that that person causes them, or they're talking about like frustrations that person has. School. Anxiety. Past regrets. Alcoholism. I am not your people, and that's okay. That's cool. There can be this degree of like, hey, we're just different vibes, and that's okay. Like, we're not going to, not necessarily that we're always going to get into a conflict, but that like, hey, you enjoy things that aren't my taste, and so we're never going to be able to enjoy the same thing. And that can be okay. Last one. That people that hurt me will wake up. Oh, yeah, because there can be this hope that these people that betrayed you, hurt you, really weren't there for you in a way that you needed them to be. There can be this extra pain of just really wishing that they would wake up to that they would become aware of what they did. You don't harbor this hatred necessarily in this way towards them of what their past actions were. You just wish they would move on. Like, you wish they would just stop doing that and just grow as a person so you could then connect with them. Because you're not able to connect with them in this form. And that becomes very frustrating where you want to find some way to get through to them. If they could just stop abusing you, if they could just stop abusing other people, whatever the barrier is that's preventing the connection you're having with them, you wish they could just understand and stop doing it in a way that would allow you to have a connection with them, and they seemingly just aren't getting it, and that's really frustrating. But maybe we can let it go. Maybe. Just maybe. Hello, editor Andrew. Just to add here that when I was doing it, there was a paper I missed that said guilt, and I feel a little guilty about that, which I think is just ironic and funny. Also, I shaved my mustache, which is probably a little jarring. Okay, bye. It's time to destroy these. If you wrote something down or you related to something, time to say goodbye.
When I feel so alone, it's time to breathe. It's something new. When always be enough and always feels nice. Just let me fade and touch, and everything is falling inside my soul. Whip can be the perfect, and my heart is learning to hide. When time is perfect, I